All right, welcome back, guys.
Hi.
Hope you had a good lunch. I did. Okay, are we okay? Omalara?
Yeah, I'm here.
I know, you're there. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes.
Okay, Ash, are you there, Ash?
Yep, I'm here as well.
Alrighty, so let us look at some of the answers that we can give when we have gaps in the employment. How to overcome an employment gap. Okay. So many things can happen. There is such thing as when Ash said about COVID. There is that. You can definitely use that. There is if you have to go back for training, like you're in this workshop, for instance, that is training. You could take time off to take care of your family, raising your children. That's an acceptable gap, but be very careful how you use that one. Very careful. So if you say that I took time off to take care of my family, raise my children, they're ready to go back to school, the employer may start thinking, well, if you got pregnant or if your wife got pregnant on the job, does that mean that you're going to take time off to raise this child? Right? So you have to think like how they're thinking. Put yourself in their place. Think of yourself as the person who's going to hire you. Right? So be careful how you use that one. There's that one that I got laid off. That's a great one. Downsizing, serving time in prison. Now, this one, I wouldn't mention this. Let it come up by itself. I wouldn't say I got incarcerated and I was in jail. I wouldn't do that one. Unemployment, employment termination, and this one as well, I would be careful of that one. So let's look at some of the things that how we can overcome your employment gap. Okay, additionally, the job market appears to have qualified candidates for most positions. How will your resume with a 1, 5, or 10-year employment gap stack up against those people who have been racking up career achievements and accomplishments for the same 10 years? Okay. All right, so let's go through that. So you'll be better prepared if you heed to these tips. Tips for staying employable during the unemployment gap. This is not what I want. I'm going through. I'm looking for something. And it's not here. So I'm going to go back because this is not what I'm looking for. So it says, stay at home moms and dads who raise your children rather than their expertise and visibility in the workplace are the largest group to support these resume gaps. Even a couple of years out of the workforce can be devastated to your career if you're not very careful. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing because this is not exactly what I'm looking for. What I would like you to do, though, is to read this on your own time. Okay?
Okay.
I think there's another handout. Okay. Just bear with me. There's another one that I... Okay, not that one. This one. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. Let me just share with you. Still coming up. Close that. Okay. Okay, here we go. How to explain the gaps in your employment. And does everyone here in this class has gaps in their employment?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So what are some of the gaps? Okay, so these are some of the answers that you can give. Spend your time unemployed preparing to return to work. Okay? Determine which jobs you need to include. Try to disguise small gaps by omitting the months. These are the things you can do. Use a resume style to format that makes the gaps less obvious. List the reason for longer employment gaps as its own job. Okay? Include experience gained during the gap when relevant. Okay. So I'm not going to read all of this for you. I'm just going to tell you or just share with you some information. Spend your time. If you have an employer and you have gap in your resume, you could say that during this time period for the past 6 months, where there's an employment gap on my resume, I was unemployed, but I was preparing to return to work. I was preparing myself, taking classes, upgrading my skills. I was attending a course on through Achieve, that is the work-related course. You can say that, and that is about a 4 months program, 6 months with the. So it is actually a 7 months program, and that could take up that part of it. So you have these gaps because you were actually preparing to return to the workforce, okay? By taking courses, attending training, doing some research, all of those things. Determine which jobs you need to include in your resume. So some of us, we've worked jobs like you work for 3 months here, 6 months there, a year there, and so on and so forth. You do not need to put all of that on your resume. You do not. You are going to, and I'm not doing resume development with you, but when you're developing your resume, Wendy will take you through 3 formats. There is a chronological format. If you have gaps, you do not use this format. You do not use this format. There is a combination format, which you can use, and there is the functional. Now, if you have gaps or you've been employed for 1 month here, 3 weeks there, 2 weeks there, 2 months there, use the functional format, and that will disguise the number of jobs you've had for a short period of time, and it will not give any details to the employer. Okay? So determine the jobs which you need to include. You are going to, another way to do this is to omit the months. So when you're writing a resume, you never ever put the months on your resume that you've worked. You would put 2019 to 2022. Never ever put January or February or whatever on your resume. So that is another way of omitting the gaps in your resume, okay? Not showing the months in your resume. I just talked about the resume style. Use a resume style or format that makes the gap less obvious, which would be which one is that again? Which one of the resume format did I just explain that will not show the gaps in your resume? Was it a chronological?
No, it wasn't the chronological one. That one would bring detail to the gaps.
Right. And was it the combination? No, it was the functional. Okay, so the functional is a different style of resume. And what it does, it lists all your skill sets and your work experience. And then at the very bottom of the resume, it shows the employment. And this is where you can tweak that. You don't have to lie, but you leave out the months, okay? Make sure you don't put the months in there. And some people do not put the years in there either. The employer can ask, so when did you work here? And then you have the opportunity to explain to them if you have a lot of gaps or if you have a huge gap in your employment. List the reason for your longer employment gaps so if you went back to university and did a degree in forestry, okay? That is going to take you 2 years if you've done, say, the most of it before. So you can say that, you could list this as well. University of Toronto Forestry Department pursuing degree in forestry from 2019 to 2022. You can do that. On your resume, you can also put this workshop. You could put that I wasn't working between September and December. I attended a chief workshop or participated in a chief workshop to upgrade my skills in job search, resume writing, and stuff like that. You can definitely do that. Include experience gained during the gaps that are relevant, and that is what you need to do. Okay, so you need to explain how to explain gaps in your resume. So these are just some tips. And as you go through your resume, when you're writing your resume with Wendelin, she will help you individually help you to come up with answers or come up with ways for you to hide those gaps in your resume. Okay? She will help you with that. I know she will. Unfortunately, I will not be doing resume writing with you. Okay, so this is spend your time unemployed preparing for return to work. You're going to determine the jobs you need, omitting the months. This is one of the things I want to point out to you. This particular one is really very, very important. And this is what I tell all my students, use this to disguise the gaps. the different resume format. It makes a big, big difference. So that's all I can pass on to you. I'm going to pass this on to you, that this is what you should really concentrate on. Use the different format to disguise the gaps. If you went back to school, definitely list that. If you went into a training, definitely list that. And if you did, you're going to include the experience gained during the gap that are relevant to the position. All right? So another one that's very acceptable in the working world is that you took time off to care for your aging mother or father, grandmother. You were a caregiver or elderly relative. That's very acceptable in the working world. Okay, so if you took time off to take care for someone, this is very, very helpful when you use this, because you're just nurturing. And if we have aging parents, we need to take care of them. And this is acceptable with employers, very acceptable. Okay. List some of the good reasons for unemployment gaps, and these can be spend time looking for a new job. Okay. Taking time off to stay at home as a caregiver. Be careful about the stay-at-home parent. This could be your downfall right here, but a caregiver is acceptable. I took time off for medical leave. A lot of people are taking time off for stress leave. I took time off to further my education. I spent time gaining certifications or licensing. That's quite acceptable. I migrated to Canada. That's quite acceptable. I spent years on personal development. Now, this one opens up a pot of worms. If you say that, they're going to ask you, so what are the personal developments that you have accomplished? So anyone can answer me? Ash? If you gave this answer, what would be that? What are some of the things that come to mind?
For personal development?
Mm-hmm.
Things like we talked about earlier, things like taking a course to improve your prospects academically. Let's see, I'm trying to think of what other things. Volunteering, that could be another good one if you're doing a bunch of volunteering.
Right.
What else? Maybe. Actually, I don't know what else you could fit there. What are some other examples of things?
Personal development. Just what you said. Skills training, personal development. Going back to school would not, like, it's a personal development, but it's like training, like what we would have, further education, this part here. So personal development could be, I took a stress leave to further develop my my personal life, in the sense where to manage stress in work and in life. That's a personal development. Time off to handle stress. Time off to handle anxiety. Those are some of the things that, if you have that, you can definitely talk about that. So this one is a little bit tricky, because it could be that, okay, so you took time off to go to a yoga retreat. That would be a personal development, right, Ash?
In a sense, yeah, but I'm not sure your employer would be super impressed with that.
Thank you. Omalara,
Yes, please.
can you turn off your audio?
Okay.
Thank you. Just the audio, but not your video. Okay, so if you say that, it is a personal development, isn't it? You develop in your ability to handle stress, to be calm, less anxiety in the workplace. So they are going to probably, and not all employers are like this, but they could read into it and say, oh, she gets stressed easily. She's not able to handle pressure in the workplace. So be very careful when you use gaps for personal development, okay? That's all I'm going to say to you. And don't confuse it with education. Got it? So this is one that you have to be careful with if you do that. Personal development.
You'd want to use it mostly for smaller scale things, right? Or smaller gaps, wouldn't
Yes,
you?
absolutely. Like what, Ash? Like what would you say?
Well, some of the things that you were mentioning, like even just things to deal with anxiety or stress, but you wouldn't want to use that and say, oh yeah, I took 2 years off for stress, because then the employer thinks, that's you're more prone to be stressed out, panicked, whatever in a high stress environment. But if it were something like I have a month gap or something like that, and that's what I was doing.
There you go. There you go. So be careful when you use it. That's all I'll say to you, if you have to use it, because it could come back. But thank you for explaining that clearly, Ash. Thank you. If you want to read more about personal development, about gaps in an interview, I would like you to click on this link at your own time. Okay? I'm not going to click on it today, but I'd like you to click on it and have a look at it. Fair enough? Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So these are the things that you may want to kind of zone in when you have gaps in employment. You want to say these things, and you have the handout.
Hello, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. Like myself, since I finished my college down back in Nigeria, I've been an entrepreneur. I'm self-employed. So
Okay.
coming to Canada, I don't really know where to start. So I don't know. Though people tell me I want to go into healthcare. So searching for a job, how am I going to write my resume?
Okay. Yeah. May I ask a question? And you don't have to answer me in the group, but what kind of business were you in?
I was a fashion designer.
Oh.
I was into clothing, yeah.
Okay. So you are a fashion designer.
Back home, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a designing fashion is the skill
African
you're really
fabric
like.
for African fabrics. I was dealing with African wear.
Okay. Well, fabric is fabric, Omalar.
Okay.
So it's the same fabric here, cotton, whatever. It's the same fabric. So you can easily get a job here.
Okay.
Yes, you can. Because it's in demand. The factories are there is. Have you heard of the clothing district down in Toronto?
No.
Okay, so when you're doing your job search, when we get there, I will give you some information about that. Okay?
All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But you don't have a gap. You were working back in home.
Yeah, because I'm self-employed, so that was.
Yeah, you migrated here.
Okay.
And you want to get your foot in the door so you can also establish your business here. Am I correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, so that's fine. You're good. You're good. You don't have a gap.
All right. Okay.
You don't have a gap.
All right.
But for those of us who do have gaps, please use these. These work, except for this personal development. Be careful of that one. Be careful of stay-home parent. Caregiver is okay. Staying at home parent is not 100% okay with employers, because they can say, my wife has kids and she works. Do you get me? and I don't stay home. I'm working, and we have small children. So be careful of this one, be careful of these two. But other than that, you can use any of the others. As well as, Ash, you can use the fact that because of the pandemic, you had to stay home, and be careful as not to bring in the virus into your home. Okay, Ash?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty, so on your own, I'd like you to explore this. I don't have time to do it right now because I need you to do an exercise for me. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to bring it up on the screen, what I'd like you to do for me. Close that. Okay. Can you see? Nope. Okay, here we go. So I'd like you to do this exercise for me before you leave today. I would like you to identify if any of these are some of the barriers that you're facing. And then tomorrow morning, we can brainstorm about it on some of the solutions. Okay, you have it in your handout. You can open it up. Can you please open it up? It's in your handout, last from yesterday. You got it on your computer, everyone?
Yep, I have it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to give you 15 minutes or to identify. And we're going to brainstorm about, I'm not going to, we're just going to take one or two from each person. And if I have time, hopefully we'll have time today to just go through it, if not tomorrow. So please complete it, identify. So when you put your name here and the date, I would like you to save it. Once you have identified, at the bottom, you're going to write which one. So you could even highlight it. You could go through here and you could highlight this one. Okay? Got it?
Okay.
You can here highlight it. And then you're going to drop it in your box later on at the end of the class. Yeah. I'll go through some if I can. If not, tomorrow we'll finish off with it. So I'm going to give you, it's now 1:30, so I'm going to give you 15 minutes to identify, and I'll come back. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Please make sure it applies to you and just you and how it's affecting you with your job search. going to look for. If we're done, just let me know.
I'm done whenever anyone else is.
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. So, okay, so I'm going to ask you